What kind of monster waits until you're grieving to strike? The day after I buried my mother, my boss looked me in the eye and smiled as he fired me. This isn't just a story, it's a warning, a glimpse into how power, cruelty, and silence infect our workplaces. Welcome to Boss from Hell.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're the show that takes your sources, complex narratives, and really digs into them to pull out those vital nuggets of knowledge, those key insights.
That's right, giving you that shortcut to being well-informed.
And today we're plunging into a story that honestly feels less like a typical business case study.
Oh, much less.
And more like a descent into a genuine corporate nightmare.
Yeah, it's pretty chilling stuff. We're exploring an account of workplace efficiency, and I'm using air quotes there, taken to its most ruthless, its most extreme conclusion.
Where corporate policies weren't just, misapplied or misinterpreted.
No, not at all. They were actively weaponized, turned into tools of cruelty.
This isn't just some abstract story. It's a really stark, visceral warning, isn't it, for anyone navigating the modern professional landscape?
Absolutely. We're talking about the ultimate breakdown of what so many companies love to talk about, that whole employee well-being thing.
Right, that phrase you see everywhere.
Right. Exactly. It's often cited, but let's be honest, frequently superficial, that commitment to their people.
Yeah.
This story reveals the terrifying reality of what can happen when basic human compassion, empathy, decency are just systematically stripped away from standard, HR protocol. Again, air quotes needed.
It's like the protocol becomes a shield for bad behavior.
Precisely. And our main source for this deep dive today is the raw, incredibly unflinching narrative of Maya Rodriguez. She's a marketing professional whose, harrowing experience was initially shared in a really powerful online account.
And the title, just listen to this title. He fired me the day after my mother died and smiled while doing it.
Wow. Yeah, just reading that title, it hits you, doesn't it?
It cuts right to the bone. It tells you immediately this isn't some, minor workplace grievance. This is profound personal betrayal territory.
Absolutely. So our mission today is to really unearth the disturbing insights from Maya's experience.
To give you, our listeners, that shortcut to being well-informed about the very real dangers that can lurk in the shadows, even in workplaces that seem perfectly normal on the surface.
We're going to meticulously dissect how these seemingly benign corporate terms, things like performance metrics, leave policy.
Things you see in every employee handbook.
Exactly. How they can be twisted, corrupted, and ultimately become instruments of just unimaginable cruelty.
So prepare yourself, because this isn't going to feel like your typical business analysis, not at all.
No, think of it more as a deep dive into a corporate horror story. The kind where the lines between professional conduct and, frankly, personal attack don't just blur.
They completely vanish.
They vanish entirely. We'll explore how cold, clinical business decisions can morph into a profound personal betrayal, especially when an employee is at their absolute most vulnerable.
It's that vulnerability that seems to be the trigger, isn't it?
It often is. It's the weak point they exploit.
Okay. So with that chilling premonition of corporate malice sort of hanging over us, let's rewind a bit. Let's understand Maya Rodriguez's journey before the nightmare began.
Good idea. So Maya Rodriguez, she's 34 at the time this all unfolds, a dedicated marketing professional based in Phoenix, Arizona.
And her career at this company, Pinnacle Marketing Solutions, it actually started by all accounts as a kind of corporate dream, right?
It really did. She'd spent almost 6 years there, really climbing the ladder. Started as a junior account coordinator fresh out of college.
Worked her way up.
Diligently worked her way up to become a senior marketing strategist.
Yeah.
Pinnacle was this thriving, mid-sized agency, about 200 people or so.
And she loved it there initially.
Genuinely loved it. That's crucial. She wasn't just punching a clock. She was passionate about the work, the campaigns they were creating, the clients, that collaborative energy in the office.
You hear that sometimes, people really finding their place.
Exactly. She really believed she had found her career home. And her initial relationship with management was, by her own account, exceptional.
She had a good boss.
Yeah, her direct supervisor, a woman named Linda, was consistently supportive, encouraging. Fostered an environment where Maya felt she could really thrive, not just meet expectations.
So a place where that employee well-being buzzword actually felt real for a while.
It seems like it did. It felt genuine, not just something on a corporate brochure.
But then, there's always a but then in these stories, isn't there?
Unfortunately, yes. The dream began to sour. insidiously, slowly at first. The big turning point was an acquisition.
Ah, the acquisition, often a catalyst.
A huge one. Pinnacle Marketing Solutions, her beloved career home, gets swallowed up by a much larger, more impersonal firm.
And that changes everything.
Immediately led to a significant, unsettling shift in the corporate landscape. Her supportive supervisor, Linda,
Let me guess, she left.
saw the writing on the wall, departed soon after, and in her place arrives the ominous figure of Marcus Weber, the new regional director.
Marcus Weber. Okay, the antagonist enters the story.
Pretty much. And Marcus wasted absolutely no time making his, well, chilling mission statement crystal clear.
Yeah.
Right from day one.
What did he say?
He proclaimed he was there to, and this is the quote, optimize operations and maximize efficiency.
Ah, the classic corporate speak. Sounds so harmless.
Doesn't it? We hear it constantly. Sounds benign, even progressive sometimes. But in Marcus's hands, it swiftly translated into an aggressive, often brutal mandate for cost-cutting.
Regardless of the human cost.
Completely regardless. This was the first deeply unsettling hint of the horror to come for Maya.
That was the moment the shift really happened.
It marked the precise moment where any pretense of genuine employee well-being just abruptly took a backseat to pure, unadulterated, unfeeling efficiency.
Like the lights dimming in a horror movie.
Exactly. The ominous music starts. That palpable sense of dread descends over the workplace.
And so the toxic infestation began. Slowly, insidiously, as the workplace culture around Maya started to decompose.
At first, it was subtle. What Maya called the usual corporate restructuring stuff.
Longer hours, tighter deadlines.
Increased pressure, fewer resources. It's a pattern many of us have unfortunately seen or experienced, right? That low, constant hum of discomfort.
The boiling frog situation.
Precisely. Often precedes something far more sinister, a precursor to the real unraveling.
But Mark, as you said, he had a unique brand of terror.
Oh, yes. It quickly became clear he didn't just implement new, harsher policies. He seemed to, well, delight in making everything personal.
How so?
He would systematically single people out in meetings, often for what seemed like minor, almost trivial things, turning them into these public spectacles of humiliation.
Oh, that's awful. Public shaming.
Terrible. And he'd punctuate these moments with chilling comments, like declaring that work-life balance was a luxury the company couldn't afford.
Wow. Just openly hostile to the idea.
He appeared to derive this, perverse satisfaction from making his employees deeply uncomfortable, deliberately eroding any sense of safety, trust, or even basic decency.
So much for HR protocol.
Exactly. He was basically dismantling the very fabric of a healthy workplace, systematically.
And this is where it gets really disturbing, isn't it? That anecdote about her colleague, Jessica.
Yes. This really paints a picture of his methods. Maya recounted this particularly vivid and, frankly, terrifying story.
What happened?
One ordinary day, Jessica made a simple, completely reasonable request. She asked to leave a bit early, maybe 4:30 p.m., to go to her daughter's school play.
Perfectly normal request. She'd done her work.
Absolutely. Already put in a full productive day. But Marcus seized on it. He publicly shamed her.
In front of
In front of the whole team. Forced her to justify why her daughter's school play could possibly be more important than some impending campaign deadline.
That's just cruel, humiliating.
Jessica was utterly mortified, apparently on the verge of tears. This wasn't about upholding performance metrics in any real objective sense.
No, it was a power play.
It was a deliberate, calculated tactic of humiliation, designed to exert absolute control over his employees' personal lives.
It's chillingly fascinating, as you said, how we weaponize concepts like performance metrics.
Exactly. Far beyond just numbers on a spreadsheet. He wasn't measuring output. He was using these tools for psychological control.
Controlling their lives outside work.
To instill fear, relentlessly test boundaries. He wanted to break down any idea that employees had a right to a personal life separate from the company's demands.
But performance metrics are supposed to be fair, right? Objective.
Ideally. They aim to inform development, recognize achievement based on contribution to business goals. But Marcus injected extreme subjectivity, moral judgment.
So he wasn't assessing her work anymore.
No. He was assessing her compliance with this unreasonable expectation that work should just consume everything else. Demanding she justify her daughter's play wasn't about her competence.
It was about breaking her spirit.
And asserting absolute dominance. This subtle yet profound shift is such a glaring warning sign in any workplace culture.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? It raises that question for you, the listener. Have you ever seen or experienced similar things? these microaggressions, these insidious culture shifts.
Those seemingly small moments where basic humanity just gets pushed aside for some unfeeling corporate agenda.
It's that slow creep, isn't it? The erosion of what you thought was normal, acceptable.
Exactly. And despite this escalating toxicity, despite these clear signs, Maya stayed.
Why? Why stay in that environment?
The trap of necessity. It's so often the case. She had significant student loans, rent to pay.
Real life pressures.
And most critically, her mother was starting to deal with serious life-threatening health issues. She just couldn't afford to lose her job.
That's the awful reality for so many people.
It is. And she clung to this, well, naive hope. Understandable maybe, but naive. Believing Marcus would eventually settle in, become more reasonable once he felt established.
She was hoping he'd calm down.
Yeah. But she was tragically very, very wrong.
This trap of necessity, it's just a heartbreakingly common theme in these kinds of stories, isn't it?
It really is. People feel forced to stay in toxic places because of financial constraints, personal emergencies.
Which just makes them more vulnerable.
Exactly. More vulnerable to exploitation, to cruelty, and that hope for things to improve. While it's a very human coping mechanism,
it can be dangerous.
It can be a dangerous form of denial in profoundly unhealthy situations. It's that cruel twist. The very circumstances that demand stability make you most susceptible to instability engineered by someone else.
And then the perfect storm hits. The personal crisis meets the corporate cruelty head on.
Yeah, this is where it becomes almost unbearable. Maya's immense personal burden was centered around her mother, Carmen.
Tell us about Carmen.
Carmen sounded like an extraordinary woman. A single parent, worked 2 jobs tirelessly to put Maya through college. Just embodied selflessness, resilience.
A real inspiration for Maya, clearly.
Absolutely. But then, in March of the previous year, Carmen received a devastating diagnosis, stage 4 pancreatic cancer.
Oh, no. That's brutal.
Doctors initially gave her maybe 6 months. But Carmen, as Maya described her, was this indomitable fighter. She defied the odds, lasted almost a full year.
Wow. But the toll on Maya must have been immense.
Unimaginable, emotionally, physically, trying to manage this profound personal tragedy alongside an increasingly demanding hostile job. It just spiraled.
Into a logistical nightmare, you said.
A relentless one. Her mother lived about 2 hours away, so Maya was driving back and forth constantly.
For appointments, treatments.
Just to be there, to hold her hand. And Maya, believing in transparency, hoping for some understanding.
She told Marcus what was happening.
Completely open with him from the start. Explained her mother's escalating health crisis, her unavoidable need for flexibility, hoping for just a shred of compassion.
Especially given the company's supposed commitment to employee well-being and family leave policies.
Exactly. You'd think that's what those policies are for.
So how did Marcus react initially?
His initial response was a masterclass in corporate doublespeak. Perfectly calibrated to tick the HR protocol boxes.
All the right word.
Delivered all the right pre-approved phrases. Of course, we understand family comes first. Do what you need to do. Sounded empathetic, supportive, right?
Yeah, on the surface.
But it was this terrifying dissonance. Because his actions from that moment on consistently, brutally contradicted those soothing words.
A little digs started.
He began inflicting what Maya chillingly called little digs about her commitment, her dedication, creating this atmosphere of constant doubt, pressure.
So the empathy was just performative.
Completely. A hollow echo designed to protect the company, maybe, but certainly not to support the employee.
What's truly unsettling here is how he didn't just ignore her transparency.
He actively weaponized it, turned her deep vulnerability, her personal situation, into a liability, not something deserving support.
How did that manifest specifically?
Well, those punitive comments. He'd say things like, hope you can still deliver on the Johnson campaign while you're dealing with your personal situation, delivered with a tone that just dripped sarcasm and implied the opposite.
Undermining her constantly.
And even more insidious, he would deliberately schedule mandatory meetings on days he knew Maya had requested off for her mom's chemo.
No, that's incredibly malicious.
It really is. And when she'd explain, understandably, I can't be there, I'm with my mother, his taunt, delivered with a sneer, would be, well, I guess we'll have to make important decisions without you then.
Forcing her into impossible choices.
Intentionally. Forcing her to choose between work and her dying mother or face professional punishment. It's just mind-boggling cruelty.
It really is. Facing that during your darkest hour. Unimaginable. And yet, despite this relentless emotional, psychological warfare, Maya kept going.
Her dedication was just relentless. She was pulling consistent 60-hour weeks, working nights, weekends, trying desperately not to fall behind.
Taking client calls from the hospital.
From hospital waiting rooms. Whispering into her phone while her mother was getting treatment. All in this desperate attempt to prove she could handle both.
That sounds like the ultimate twisted performance metric for loyalty.
Isn't it? Not just delivering results, but sacrificing her very humanity to show her worth in a system designed to exploit vulnerability.
And the craziest part, the really insidious part, is what Maya called the performance review paradox.
Yes, this is where the premeditation becomes so clear. Her actual performance reviews during this entire agonizing period, they were consistently stellar.
Exceeding expectations.
Her very last review, just 2 months before her mother passed, rated her as exceeds expectations in practically every single category. Marcus himself lauded her creativity, client relationships, results under pressure.
There was a...
Always. In the very same breath, he would insert that insidious qualifier, that poisonous asterisk, commenting on her divided attention, her personal distractions.
So what does that mean? Why praise her and then undermine her in the same conversation?
It means he was clearly, meticulously building a paper trail.
Ah, the paper trail.
A chillingly precise body of evidence designed to justify future actions he already had planned. He was using her personal tragedy, her undeniable need for flexibility, as ammunition.
Twisting everything.
Documenting what he chose to frame as absenteeism, or divided attention. Twisting every genuine request into a black mark against her record.
So, connecting this to the bigger picture.
It highlights the profound danger of subjective performance assessments, especially when managers have wide latitude without strong oversight, when compassion is seen as weakness.
The tools get twisted.
The very tools meant for employee development get perverted into instruments of destruction, creating this almost unassailable legal shield for a cruel agenda.
It shows how easily HR protocol can be manipulated.
To serve a cruel purpose. Twisting genuine struggles into fabricated shortcomings. This wasn't about developing Maya. It was about systematically undermining her, preparing the ground.
This premeditated setup leads us with this sickening inevitability to the fatal summons. The day after death, the day of termination.
Yeah. Maya's mother's condition deteriorated rapidly through January. By the last week, the doctors delivered that crushing news. It was now just a matter of days.
So Maya knew she had to be there.
Heartbroken, but knew she had to be present. She immediately called Marcus, explained the dire situation, told him she'd be out for at least a week for these final sacred moments.
And Marcus's response, given everything else.
Even in the face of such profound human grief, it was characterized by just utter cold clinical indifference, his immediate singular focus.
Not Maya's mother.
No. The Morrison campaign, slated to launch the following week, he actually asked Maya if she was absolutely certain she couldn't work remotely from her mother's deathbed.
You're kidding, he asked that.
Prioritizing a campaign deadline over a human being's final moments with her dying parent. Demanded to know if she could log on, even for a few hours. The callousness is just staggering.
Astonishing. What did Maya say?
Despite her agony, she told him unequivocally, no. She needed to be fully present. For her family, for her mother.
Good for her.
But her refusal was met with that ominous, chilling warning from Marcus. Well, I hope your priorities are clear, Maya. We'll have to discuss the implications of this when you return.
The final premonition.
The unmistakable foreshadowing of the corporate execution he was already planning.
And then the unthinkable call came.
Shattering what little peace Maya had managed to find. Her mother passed away on February 2nd at 3:47 a.m.
So early in the morning.
And the very next morning, February 3rd, amidst this profound grief, Maya somehow managed to call the office. Left a voicemail for Marcus, sent a formal email to HR.
Following the rules.
Notifying them of her mother's death, formally requesting her 5 business days of bereavement leave, exactly as per the employee handbook leave policy. Following every single rule, even in her devastation.
But Marcus called her back.
Later that very afternoon, while Maya was at the funeral home, making the agonizing arrangements for her mother's service.
Surely he was calling to offer condolences.
That's what Maya thought, or hoped. Maybe to check in, express some basic human empathy. Instead, his voice was flat, devoid of any emotion. Maya, I need you to come in tomorrow morning. We need to discuss your employment status.
Wow.
Not then.
Maya, reeling, Utterly shocked, managed to stammer, "Marcus, my mother just died. I'm literally arranging her funeral right now."
And he didn't care.
Utterly unyielding, robotic in his demand. "This can't wait. Be in my office at 9 a.m. tomorrow."
That's just inhumane.
And the summoning to the corporate execution. A truly inhumane demand, hours after the most profound loss of her life. The speed, the cold calculation, the utter callousness. It's staggering.
Complete disregard for her grief, her humanity.
He wasn't just firing her. He was inflicting maximum pain, maximum humiliation. It feels intentional.
And perhaps the most heartbreaking, most bewildering part of this whole thing.
She went.
Maya went into the office the next day.
She went. She described it as being on grief-fogged autopilot. A desperate, maybe subconscious hope even then to show commitment.
Even after everything he'd done.
She was barely functioning, running on raw adrenaline and just profound soul-crushing grief. Yet she still walked into that office, compelled by this invisible chain of corporate conditioning.
That decision, made in such extreme vulnerability.
It highlights the insidious nature of the psychological manipulation in these toxic places. Even in deep grief, that ingrained fear of losing her job.
And that desire to prove her commitment.
Even though she'd proven it 1,000 times over, it pushed her to comply with this utterly unreasonable, cruel demand. It speaks volumes about the power of that conditioning.
Where the employee, even when clearly wronged, feels compelled to obey the abuser.
It's a terrible dynamic.
So we arrive at the termination scene itself, the corporate nightmare made terrifyingly, unforgivably real.
February 4th, exactly 30 hours after her mother died. Maya, barely able to put one foot in front of the other, walks into Marcus's office.
And he wasn't alone.
No. Marcus was sitting rigidly behind his desk.
Yeah.
And an HR representative, a woman named Janet, was also there, sitting silently, like a complicit observer.
The atmosphere must have been suffocating.
The absence of humanity was palpable, Maya said. A void. Janet offered this perfunctory, almost whispered, "We're sorry for your loss, Maya."
But Marcus?
Chillingly, utterly silent on that front. His focus, devoid of any pretense of sympathy, was immediate, pivoted directly to recent performance concerns and reliability issues.
No space for grief at all.
None. No acknowledgement of the profound personal tragedy. It was like her mother's death was just an inconvenient footnote, if that.
And Maya protested, pointed to her reviews.
Still reeling, she protested desperately. Reminded him of her stellar last performance review, how she'd consistently exceeded every target, even through her mother's illness.
But Marcus was ready.
Not only prepared, he was ruthless. Launched his counterattack, produced this thick folder meticulously filled.
The paper trail.
Every single time Maya had asked for flexibility, every doctor's appointment. Every day she worked remotely from the hospital waiting room.
He documented it all as negative.
Painstakingly twisted it all. Using her very attempts to care for her dying mother as evidence of poor performance.
This raises that critical, unsettling question, doesn't it? About how internal documentation, supposedly for employee well-being or performance management,
Can be so profoundly twisted, weaponized into tools for malicious ends. Marcus wasn't documenting for support or development or even fair assessment.
he was documenting for destruction.
Building a legal case, a cynical shield, exploiting the very system designed, in theory, to protect employee rights and turning it into a mechanism for their undoing.
A profound cautionary tale about the dark side of corporate record-keeping.
And the immense power it grants to unscrupulous managers.
And then came the verdict, delivered with that ultimate act of corporate horror.
A moment seared into Maya's memory forever, Marcus stated coldly, voice devoid of warmth. "Maya, we've decided that your position requires someone who can give 100% commitment to the company. Effective immediately, we're terminating your employment."
The day after her mother died.
The day after. And the part Maya will never ever forget, the image that haunts her. As he delivered the news, Marcus wore a small, satisfied, almost triumphant smile.
Oh my God, a smile.
A smile. This is the core image of the corporate monster. An unfeeling entity taking perverse pleasure in another's profound, agonizing pain.
And his justification, how could he possibly justify that timing?
His justification was equally chilling, a distillation of corporate callousness. The timing is unfortunate, but business decisions can't wait for personal circumstances.
Just reducing her life, her grief, to an inconvenient circumstance.
Exactly. Strips away all pretense of humanity. Employees aren't people, they're cogs in a machine. Easily discarded when they don't spin at optimal efficiency.
And the HR rep, Janet, what did she do?
Just sat there, impassively, taking notes, handing over the COBRA paperwork, final paycheck details.
But avoided eye contact.
Pointedly avoided eye contact. Utterly silent, a stark, complicit accessory to the cruelty unfolding.
And then they escorted her out.
Escorted out by security, like a criminal, like she'd done something wrong, rather than being the victim of profound injustice and loss.
The ultimate humiliation.
Maya managed to make it to her car in the parking lot, and there, she just broke down, sobbing uncontrollably, unable to process the bewildering disbelief of it all.
This forced exit, HR's silence, it underscores the systemic nature of it, doesn't it?
Tragically, yes. It wasn't just Marcus acting alone. The corporate infrastructure, its policies, its HR protocol, they either allowed for it or maybe even implicitly encouraged this dehumanizing process.
Her 6 years of dedication, just gone.
Reduced to an abrupt, deeply shameful departure, all while adhering to the most cynical, black-letter interpretation of HR protocol. It shows how those processes can be subverted.
Protecting the company, not the employee, even when it's ethically bankrupt.
And, yeah, those COBRA benefits, that's the Consolidated Omnibus Budget Reconciliation Act, allows temporary continuation of health coverage, but
at a much higher cost to the individual, right?
Significantly higher, often prohibitively expensive. A very cold comfort indeed in Maya's devastating situation.
So what happened next in the aftermath of this corporate apocalypse? How did Maya cope?
It was a battle for survival, emotionally, financially. Looking back, Maya painfully realized the stain of premeditation was everywhere.
All the signs were there.
All the subtle and not so subtle signs. Marcus meticulously building that case against her, twisting her personal struggles into professional failings.
And his motivation became clearer, too.
Chillingly clearer. He likely saw her mother's illness, her need for flexibility, as a golden opportunity.
To eliminate a position, cut costs.
Exactly. By framing her termination for cause, using those fabricated performance issues, he could avoid paying severance. Maybe even contest unemployment benefits.
It wasn't just cruelty, it was calculated financial ruthlessness.
Aligned perfectly with his optimized operations mandate. Pure, cold-blooded calculation dressed up as performance management.
Did she try to fight it legally?
Understandably, she consulted employment attorneys. But she quickly found herself in this disheartening legal labyrinth.
It's hard to prove wrongful termination.
Notoriously difficult when the employer has meticulously documented performance concerns, however fabricated they might be. Marcus had been chillingly careful.
Exploiting that legal gray area.
Where the timing, horrific as it was, could be argued away as an unfortunate coincidence, not direct retaliation for taking bereavement leave under the company's own leave policy.
Especially in at-will employment states.
Precisely. Where employers can terminate for almost any reason, or no reason, as long as it's not overtly discriminatory. His paper trail gave him a near impenetrable shield.
The financial and emotional fallout must have been just devastating.
In a word, yes. Imagine. She'd poured every last cent of her savings into her mother's medical expenses, the funeral, an act of love and duty.
And then overnight.
No income, no professional identity, critically, no health insurance, all while grappling with unimaginable grief.
Where did she go? What did she do?
The harsh reality forced her to move in with her aunt temporarily, lost her independence, compounded that sense of loss, and the job she had to take.
The call center job.
A soul-crushing job, she called it. Not just a step down, but a daily grind that stood in stark contrast to the strategic marketing role she loved and excelled at.
More than just paying bills.
It was this profound psychological burden. Drained her, denied her the mental space to properly mourn. It really shows how corporate cruelty poisons the wellspring of personal healing.
Turning grief into this exhausting battle against anger, betrayal.
And tragically, self-blame, which she carried for a long time.
And the ripple effect, how did others react?
It echoed through her circles. Her family, close friends were naturally outraged. Hearing them say it was not normal, not acceptable, helped Maya start processing the trauma.
And her colleagues.
The chilling silence from most former colleagues was deafening. Most too afraid to stay in contact.
Afraid of Marcus.
Paralyzed by fears of burning bridges, jeopardizing their own precarious job security under his reign of terror.
But one person spoke up. Jessica.
Only Jessica. The same colleague Marcus humiliated over the school play dared to break that silence. She reached out.
What did she tell Maya?
She revealed that Marcus had falsely announced Maya's departure to the team, coldly claiming she'd chosen to pursue other opportunities.
No mention of her mother's death.
Absolutely no mention of her profound loss. Jessica described this really tense, suffocating atmosphere in the office. People knew something was terribly wrong, but were too terrified to speak up or show solidarity.
Fear becomes its own performance metric.
Effectively silencing dissent, fostering complicity, it's chilling.
And Marcus, what were the consequences for him?
Initially, devastatingly none.
Nothing happened.
He quietly received a promotion to a different division about 8 months later.
A promotion after that.
Well, it was framed as one, but it was that classic corporate maneuver. Move the problem rather than solve it.
So a sideways move, really.
In effect, a demotion. Moved him to a division with limited authority. A way to sideline him without the company admitting any fault.
While Maya's life was shattered.
Exactly. Her feeling of hollowness was profound. Her life turned upside down. His merely inconvenienced by a transfer. The stark imbalance is just infuriating.
It's a dishearteningly common pattern, isn't it, in corporate culture?
Far too common. Those who perpetuate cruelty, unethical behavior, are rarely held truly accountable in a significant way.
They get reshuffled?
Reassigned, given new titles, quietly moved along, insulating the company from real systemic change.
And sending a message to other employees.
A chilling message about the true value placed on employee well-being and ethical conduct. The corporate machinery keeps grinding, even if it crushes individuals.
That kind of quiet justice feels like injustice.
It rarely brings full healing to the victim, that's for sure.
So from those ruins, Maya had to rebuild. How did she even start?
An arduous, painstaking journey. Took almost 2 full years to recover, emotionally and professionally.
That call center job.
Soul-crushing, yes. But it was a vital lifeline. Kept her afloat. She spent her evenings networking tirelessly, slowly, carefully rebuilding her reputation in marketing, one connection at a time.
And interviewing must have been incredibly difficult.
A huge challenge. Anxiety-inducing. Imagine trying to explain that termination without sounding bitter, negative, unprofessional.
How did she handle it?
Developed a careful script about family circumstances, company restructuring, but she worried constantly about Marcus giving her a bad reference, actively sabotaging her.
Did he?
She suspected it. Things only really started to improve when she leaned heavily on her former supportive supervisor, Linda, as a reference.
Linda came through for her.
Absolutely crucial. Helped Maya escape that toxic shadow Marcus had cast.
And she did find a new job eventually.
She did. Found a new corporate haven at a smaller, more humane agency back in Phoenix.
A great culture.
Completely refreshingly different. The pay is lower than Pinnacle, admittedly, but the atmosphere, night and day. Her new boss, in stark contrast to Marcus, actually asked about work-life balance in the interview. And when Maya, carefully, tentatively, mentioned her past family crisis and the circumstances of her departure.
What did the new boss say?
Responded with genuine empathy. Good. That means you understand what really matters in life.
Wow, what a difference. A moment of validation.
Profound validation. A signal this was truly a different place.
And this whole experience, it must have fundamentally changed her perspective.
Profoundly, irrevocably. She realized, with painful clarity, that company loyalty is often a one-way street.
She gave 6 years.
Sacrificed immensely, consistently exceeded expectations, only to be discarded the very moment she needed compassion and flexibility most.
And she realized she wasn't alone.
Through connecting with others, yes. Her dozens of similar heartbreaking stories. People facing cancer treatments, maternity leave, caring for elderly parents.
It's a whole category of cruelty.
A pervasive, insidious, whole category of workplace cruelty that happens precisely when people are most vulnerable. Often cloaked under those guises of rigorous performance metrics or unyielding leave policy.
So from that journey, from being a survivor, what messages does Maya share now?
Powerful, urgent messages to managers everywhere. She'd say this: your employees are human beings.
Seems obvious, but needs saying.
With complex lives, families, joys, crises outside work. When someone is dealing with a dying parent, battling illness, welcoming a child, that is precisely when they need genuine leadership, understanding, compassion.
Managers hold immense power.
You hold immense power. You can be a vital support system, a source of strength, empathy, or you have the terrifying power to be utterly cruel, to cause irreparable harm. Choose wisely.
And her message to Marcus Weber himself?
Raw, deeply emotional, captures the profound injustice. My mother, Carmen, was a better person than you will ever be. She taught me about true kindness, unwavering integrity, treating every single person with dignity and respect, regardless of position. You could have learned something invaluable from her, but instead you chose to add to the immense suffering of a grieving daughter. I hope someday, though I doubt it, you understand the irreparable damage you did, not just to me, but to your own soul.
Powerful words. Therapy must have been vital for her healing.
Absolutely crucial. Helped her unpack and shed so much of that unearned guilt, that debilitating self-blame she carried.
Realizing it wasn't her fault.
Finally realizing Marcus had made up his mind long before her mother passed, regardless of her extraordinary efforts.
But the experience left scars, trust issues.
Naturally, profoundly eroded her trust in workplace relationships, led to a more cautious professional distance now. She's learned to read organizational culture with this finely tuned sensitivity.
Looking beyond the surface.
Deeply beyond polite lip service. Looking for genuine employee well-being policies in action, recognizing subtle red flags far beyond just the official HR protocol.
And that unquiet justice you mentioned earlier, the settlements.
Sadly common, yes. She learned later that 2 others at Pinnacle were also fired under questionable circumstances after she left.
Similar situations, vulnerability.
One woman seeking accommodation for her husband's PTSD, another needing time off for his own cancer treatment. The parent company, wanting to avoid scandal, settled quietly with all 3.
With NDAs, non-disclosure agreements.
Naturally. Those infamous NDAs that bind victims to silence. Connecting this to the bigger picture, the pervasive use of NDAs just highlights how corporations often prefer to silence survivors. Bury the truth.
Rather than address the systemic issues.
The perversions of performance metrics that allow the cruelty. It's about protecting the brand, not delivering real justice.
But Maya's breaking that silence now, as much as she can.
Fiercely committed to it, carefully, within the bounds of her NDA. She passionately believes silence protects perpetrators.
Sharing her story helps others.
Helps others recognize warning signs, empowers them to seek help. She's now deeply involved in advocacy work.
Volunteering.
With a nonprofit supporting people dealing with workplace discrimination, retaliation, providing resources, emotional support, fighting that profound isolation victims often feel.
And her advice for others who might face something similar.
It's both practical and emotional. Practically, document absolutely everything.
Emails, reviews, requests.
Every communication, every review, every request. And crucially, don't assume good work alone protects you. Because, as her story shows,
it tragically doesn't always.
Emotionally. Remember, someone else's cruelty, however profound, does not and can never define your worth as a human being. Focus relentlessly on self-care, healing, and deliberately moving forward.
As you wrap up this deep dive, Maya Rodriguez's story is just chilling, an unforgettable reminder of the brutal reality of workplace cruelty and how it preys on vulnerability.
The key takeaways for you, the listener, are critical, really essential. First, maintain unwavering vigilance in corporate environments. Learn to recognize those early warning signs of a toxic culture.
Not just the official stuff.
No, look beyond HR protocol and statements. Observe behaviors. Most importantly, see how management treats its most vulnerable employees.
And second,
always remember, your inherent worth as an individual transcends any arbitrary performance metrics within a cruel system. You are more than your job, more than your output.
And finally, the power of documentation.
Understand the profound power of meticulously documenting everything. Build your own paper trail and seek immediate support if you ever find yourself caught in a similar corporate horror scenario.
So as you navigate your own professional landscape, we invite you to ponder this. What hidden performance metrics might be lurking silently in the shadows of your own organization's official employee well-being policies?
Waiting perhaps to be weaponized against you precisely when you're at your most vulnerable. And how can we, collectively, in our workplaces and our communities,
ensure that compassion, genuine human empathy, unwavering integrity,
not calculated cruelty, become the ultimate corporate best practice?
We encourage you to be kind, seek support when needed, and be active advocates for humane treatment everywhere. Remember, behind every business decision,
there's a human being.
Thank you for joining us on The Deep Dive. We truly hope this conversation sparks important reflections and empowers you.
Until next time.